I got you to the side. I hope you got me to the side too. Listen, man, this is day umpteenth of the quarantine. And man, it's hard logging in social media unless I'm doing something and paying attention to myself because you got all these people arguing. You ignorant. You ignorant. 5G. No, it's the virus. Wash your hands. Wash your ass. Kill somebody with toilet paper. Like, it's so much stuff going on. And we are consumed with a abundance of Netflix, abundance of just movie watching, and you do have some of those that's still stimulating the brain, stimulating thought, which is a beautiful thing. And this is a perfect time to grab onto some books. Yeah, exciting, right? Some of y'all like, here he go with this bullshit, some goddamn books. No, but when you look at how you are consuming information, one thing you have to know, which is a fact, and I hate when people say facts and it don't be facts, it just be how they feel, but no, this is a fact. The media is protected by the government. There's an entertainment clause which states that they don't have to tell you the truth. So if they don't have to tell you the truth and you already know that the media is majority propaganda, wouldn't that move something into your spirit, if you will, to like, hey, I need to learn some shit? Like, there's a book that I read that my homeboy Herm, what's up, Herm Nasty, if you're listening, Herm put me on. It was called The Prince. And this book was by an author, Machiavelli, a real dude. Like, everybody, when you think of Machiavelli, the first thing you think of is Tupac, right? But no, Machiavelli was a real person. And he wrote this book called The Prince. Now, this book was a book to show a specific prince on how to maintain rule. Because when you look at the people or the individuals, institutions, or organizations that rule over people, they didn't get that primarily unless it was into your culture. I mean, not culture, but your where you're at. If the king of your region dates all the way back to the origins of your people, that's a natural rulership. But a lot of these people that run these different countries and all this stuff, they stole that dominion. They stole that domination through murder, through trickery, through all types of crazy shit that your history teacher will not teach you because they want to teach you other shit. But this book called The Prince, one of the things there's two things that stick out that you can see to this date, how people maintain control. Now, don't get it twisted either. This book is popular. Like a lot of your politicians, your CEOs, people that run shit, they have this book in their library. I have this book too. It's e-copy though. I got it from Amazon, Amazon.com. Get that book. But one of the main things that you are taught to do in order to maintain control over a people is to remove their history. Because if they don't know how you got the power, if they don't remember how you got to dominate them, got them to worship your image, got to worship your culture, there will forever be okay to be ruled by you. And so take your history. So you look all throughout civilization and society, history has been hijacked. And he who controls the pen of history controls the world, because that person, institution, or organization controls how people think and the perception. And perception isn't real all the time. Perception is what's been curated, dispensed out to you, or disseminated out to the public. And if you gravitate to that, then that becomes your reality, when in actuality somebody else's perception is totally different in regards to the same thing, and their reality is different. And so the next thing that stuck out to me in this book was to create false flags, which means to get the popular narrative that the people in rule want to spread out amongst the people, have everybody do that. So there's a phrase that says, you tell a lie long enough, it will become the truth. prime example, when you talking to when you go to some museums or you talk to some professors or some scholars and you say, where's Egypt? They'll tell you it's in the Middle East. When you can go to the map and see Egypt in Africa. But if you take the word of everybody that tells you anything and you don't look it up for yourself, in your mind, your perception will become, oh yeah, Egypt's in the Middle East. Yeah, it's over there by Iran, Iraq. It's all over there with them. Yeah, that's where it's at. That's where. Yeah. But when you actually read and go look for stuff yourself, you're like, wow. So you mean to tell me my elementary school told me lies, my high school told me the lies. Now in college, that's a little different because the professors don't really teach you in college. I don't know what they're doing today, but I graduated in 2004. And they told you to get a book, and they told you to read, and then we're going to discuss the theory that that this class is about based off what you read. So, and that's where when I got to higher education, now I would preface this. I only got certain tidbits of information because some of the professors that I had at the university were thorough people. And it was their job. They felt it was their responsibility to disseminate accurate information, not just mythical, make-believe, or hopeful or feeling good type stuff. No, they showed you the absolutes, and they didn't tell you that this is what it is because I said so. They said, this is what it is, and you can go look for it yourself to make sure you see that this is actually accurate. So, the book, look it up right now. It's a book called The Prince by Machiavelli. Now, for some of you that haven't read, like there's a study that says people don't read books for the most part. Average American rather. You haven't read since college. Most of us don't have books in our homes. We have 1 million televisions, 1 million smartphones, 1 million tablets, 1 million laptops and computers, but no books. So I would challenge the people that just and if not for nothing else, it will open up as the song says, a whole new world. It will open up a totally different world just by reading because that you get to work that brain muscle, and your imagination, which is stolen from you through being an adult. Because when you was a kid, you had a vivid imagination. You had best friends that sat next to you that nobody else in the room saw. You saw them. You knew what they had on. You knew what the clothes they was wearing. You knew if they had earrings or whatever. But as an adult, your imagination is stripped away by being an adult, especially in this society. Which an imagination is an amazing thing, especially when you mix it with some facts and some truth in regards to who you are and where you come from, things of that nature. So get that book. That is a phenomenal book. And then I have a stack of books that we're going to share. I'm about to go to a music break and play one of my peers' tracks for you real quick. But so I've been on sabbatical from stand-up comedy since 2016. And it was this book, believe it or not, that helped me make that decision to go on sabbatical. Yes, the Richard Pryor autobiography. It is Pryor's Conviction. Oh, man. This book was it's amazing. It reads like a movie, actually. And I'm going to tell you the part in this book that made me make the decision on going on sabbatical. I found out that Richard Pryor quit comedy. He totally quit. He was successful. He was doing good. He was making money. He was in the Las Vegas clubs. If you know anything about back then, and it's probably still to this date, the mafia runs a lot of things in Vegas. And so the mafia had this it was what are them things? A casino that he was performing in. And he went up there to tell his joke. He told the first joke, and the people laughed. And he looked at the people, and it was a sea full of white people, and he felt that they were laughing at him and not with him. And that came primarily, if I remember correctly, because he wasn't really himself. He was trying to be Bill Cosby. He was trying to be the squeaky, clean cut guy, and that wasn't who Richard Pryor was, based off of his beginnings from Peoria, Illinois. I probably said that wrong. Peoria. I don't give a shit. I can read. But anyway, yeah, he grew up in a brothel. His mother was a prostitute. His grandmother was the madam. I forget what they said who his daddy was. But he grew up in some hellacious time in really extreme conditions. So that's who he was, and that's he eventually came back to comedy though. He had taken the 2 years he had quit, and he had went to California. He started mixing and mingling with the hippies, and he found his voice. And he came back, and he became the iconic, legendary god of stand-up comedy, the Richard Pryor. This book is amazing. I would say anybody go and get it. Not just comedians, but if you're a comedian, definitely go get it. And another thing that helped me go take my sabbatical was I was listening to an interview. And this was an interview by Drake. And I've heard people say this phrase before, but it was because where I was at mentally at that period of time when I was listening to Drake. They said, Drake, so do you ever see yourself not performing anymore, not being a rapper? And he says, yeah, when it's no longer fun to me. When it's not fun anymore, I quit. And so in culmination with the Richard Pryor book and this Drake guy that's on top of the world, I don't know if he still is. I don't really listen to music. I mean, I love music, but my own shit or people I know. So I don't know where he's at now, but when he said that he was on the top of the world. Now, if I'm on the top of the world, I'm not thinking about not having fun, right? Because you would be like, I can just coast. I can just coast into my my celebrity and my fame and fortunes, and it's always gonna be fun. But that's not accurate. It's not always fun. And in 2016, that was the period I was at the peak of my stand-up game. Like, my set was impeccable to me. And just going off the performance and how I was received after my set, I was like, man, I'm doing good, but I was miserable. I was falling apart on the inside. You deal with a lot of racism in the entertainment industry, period, especially the comedy business. And they're able to do that because a lot of your comedians aren't business savvy, right? They just want to perform. They don't care that that this club owner don't really like black people. But they're going to tell you, yeah, you can fly up here to Chicago and do a guest spot. Even though we already seen your demo, we already have references from other club. We see your social media numbers. I mean, you're not famous and you're not a social media celebrity. And who cares that you're funny? And then you get up there and you rock out and they be like, we don't got no spot for you. And I'm not saying that's racist, because that's business. I understand that part. But what's racist is when you're not appreciated for the work you do just based off of who you are culturally. And so, there's comedy clubs all around the country that give you urban nights, right? They'll bring in a black comic, couple black comics for one night. You get one night, and that one night is used to get their money up. Because when we go out, when we come to a show, we gonna spend all of our money. We gonna buy up all the Hennessy, eat up all the chicken wings, and the jack. We gonna do, because it's an experience. I've said this before on other interviews. It's an experience for us to get out and have a good time. especially with all the trauma that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. Plus, if y'all have ever heard of epidemiology, that's the study of trauma transferred through genetics. So by default, we have trauma stitched into our genetics. So whenever it comes time for us to have a good time, we're going to rock out. And so a lot of the institutions, not just the entertainment institution, but a lot of these, they prey on that. And so we come out and spend all the money. So the money that they make on those 1 or 2 nights, I guarantee you, a lot based off of the comics that they have for the week that don't bring traffic in, that offsets the all these comics that they bring in that don't have a draw, that's dry, that's not funny, that people don't care to come see, but they constantly book them. But then you got the people that are funny, that do have the draw. They be like, nah, we can only have you for like 1 night. Yeah. Sorry. And then you got a club here in Atlanta, and I'll say this again, who is a new club, fairly new, said he didn't want an urban club. He said he wanted a mainstream club. Now, the difference between urban and mainstream, we all know that's black and white. And so he tried to compete with the other mainstream clubs. But as soon as that wasn't working for him, he went back to the urban circle because that's where he was making his money. But he already told all the black comics, hey, I don't want this to be an urban room. I don't want this to be an urban room. Code word, I don't want you black people in here like you are. I want to try to transition off from y'all. But that's where he got his money at. So now he's like, all right, Nicholas, come on back home. And so it's a lot of other stories that I could tell about comedy that I'm just not feeling this. Like, I'm good at this. I can do this at a professional level, but I'm not about to give away my entire life just to get 10 minutes of stage time, 20 minutes of stage time. I'm not doing that. I got way too many talents that I can tap into. Plus, I am the commodity. See, the one thing when you develop knowledge yourself, you understand that the energy that a lot of us look for on the outside has been inside the entire time. And the funny thing is, the same institutions that we spoke about when I originally started speaking about books, they don't want you to know that you have that power within. That is the divine is inside. It's not outside. Everything that makes up your body, everything that makes up who you are, you can find in the stars, in the universe, in the plants. You are connected. And so once you realize that, you like, so let me tap into the talent, let me tap into that talent, and bring it all together. If for you shoppers, you consumers that love trendy things, you think about the Jordans. If you created the Jordans and you sold those Jordans out of your trunk, how much of the revenue do you get to keep after expenses are paid for? All of it. All of it. But we've been tricked to, and I admit I was tricked like this too, because when I would play bars and grills and little bullshit rooms, when I made the promotion for it, I would make it seem like it was a bar. I didn't want you to know that it was a hole in the wall. I would create this flyer to make it look like it was an elaborate comedy building, venue. But it wasn't, because I was ashamed to be like, I'm performing in this bar. I should be in a theater. The ego is something else. When in all actuality, me performing in that bar, that grill, that was all me. From the promotion, a lot of times when I promoted, from my promotions to the crowd that came out. So if I had merch or if there was a charge at the door, I would get all of it. Meanwhile, you go to these comedy clubs to sell your Jordans. It's the equivalent to you creating the Jordans and they hot and you selling it out your trunk versus giving it to Finish Line and telling them you can have 80% of the profits just so I can put it in your store and have all these nice mannequins and all this color coordination. And, I do that because you guys are going to make it even more popular. You're going to keep all the money. You're going to keep all the resources. You're going to keep all the leverage. But it looks better. And this is how we are tricked in the entertainment industry, because without the entertainers, the industry wouldn't be anything. Think about it. Comedians out there, y'all stop going to these comedy clubs, which you have right now. But you stop going to these comedy clubs and you create some type of union or some type of unification amongst the talented group. And you say, we're going to create our own little shack. You look at the, what was that? Dolomite. Dolomite had a comedy club in an apartment. If we was to start doing that and invite our people into our areas, get our own areas and do that, what do you think could happen? You wouldn't have to complain about, oh man, they on some bullshit. They doing this. I remember this manager told me that I couldn't be black, all the way black, because I had nice teeth. I bullshit you not. And because I wanted to perform there, because it was in my hometown, because I wanted to perform there in front of my family and my friends that I grew up with, I didn't flash. In the back of my head, it was like, cuss this mother out. But I didn't. Say that to me now. You're getting cussed out. Because I don't need you. I don't need your institution. I built my own. Amen. Amen. Hallelujah. So, yeah, get the Machiavelli, Prince, get the Richard Pryor, the Convictions. But I'm about to go to a music break right now. I want y'all to listen to my big brother. And I dedicate this to all the essential employees. You essential employees that's in love, that's looking for love. They got love at home when you get back in your shower, you wash your clothes, somebody that's there for you, or those that potentially want that. This is for y'all. Hey. Yeah, man. What up, Joy? Oh, man, that was Mud Jones. Go to all of your streaming services, download the song, play it at your house when you got your candlelights and the bubbly going, and surprise that loved one when she gets through the door. You know what I'm saying? Or when he gets through the door, whoever it is that you're mixing and mingling with, whatever you're doing. Yeah, boy, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so the next book. This book is important. How do I say that? This book really helped me kind of pivot out of a rut that I was in my late 20s. So my father died when I was 17. And for any child, first of all, my parents divorced when I was a kid, when I was younger. So that was traumatic. But the fact that my father left up out of here when I was 17, that was even more traumatic, because I needed that father in my life. Every child needs their father. If you're listening out here, fathers, your child needs you. You know that because you needed your daddy. And maybe he was in your life, maybe he wasn't. Don't be that guy. Be in his life. And ladies, stop keeping the father away from their children. Stop it. You know, they don't talk about this enough, about how women hinder the relationship between their children. And I didn't have that with my mama. She welcomed it, especially when you was bad. Oh, you being bad? I'm going to call your daddy. Wait a minute now. Let's talk about this. We don't need to get daddy involved. But that I know from peers, friends, siblings, other people there, you know, we have to put the children in front. The beef in between the man and the woman that needs to stop, because the child is the most important in that relationship. But anyway, keeping going. So, one of my favorite authors, Dr. Wayne Dyer, Finding Your Erroneous Zones. This book should be in everybody's home, because he helps you kind of kick some of the indoctrination that you've been handed through certain environments, traumatic experiences, these education institutions, yada, yada, yada. And so one thing that I tell y'all, a phrase that has stuck with me since I read this book, it is by Dr. Wayne Dyer. Write this down. Get your pen and paper out. And You may not be able to consume it right now and break it down, but just write it down and then come back periodically through the day and just recite it. He says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. That was let me say it again. When you change the way you look at things, the things that you look at change. That was so profound. And I apply that in all aspects of my life. And you should too. And it will help you to start maneuver through this life a little bit better, as it pertains to, dealing with people or dealing with yourself. This book is very important. I got a question. It says, D, what's the song called? The song I just played for you was called Flat Shoes. It's by Mud Jones, my big brother. I've had people hit me up and say, is that you singing? Because I guess we sound alike. But I'm the real king of R&B. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that was him. And that was his latest, one of his latest releases, remakes. But yeah. Oh, and another book from Dr. Wayne Dyer. And this book is super important too, because there was a philosopher. I don't know if it was a philosopher or a psychologist, but they said everybody on earth has one idea a year that can make them an instant millionaire. But you know what kills that? It's fear, laziness, and excuses. So Dr. Wayne Dyer created this book called Excuses Begone. That's a very important book to stop all you procrastinators and you cats that's on that bullshizzle from time to time. That'll really get you guys get you guys in a state of mind where you know that all you have to do is keep pushing, get focused, and just keep putting stuff out. It's gonna catch eventually, especially if you putting your oomph into it. So whatever it is in life that you want to do it. And one thing you got to do too is you got to get away from these people that tell you what you can't do. Hey, man. All right. Oh, my gosh. It's so crazy. I used to hit up people like, yo, I want to do this, that, and the third. And instead of them being like, yo, that could work, they be like, nah, son. See, you got to do this and you got to do that. And I mean, they talking to somebody that has already done everything that I said I was going to do at some capacity. And I understand that there's just ways that you have to maneuver around to get to the final project. But don't tell Jamille Harley what he can't do, because he'll do it. And he'll do it at a caliber that makes you feel like, damn, well, maybe I should have got on board with him, but it's too late now. So don't be that person. Whenever I hear a friend tell me they want to do something, I cut out the excuses. My homegirl, Kiana Quarles, she told me she had an idea for a vegan festival in Indianapolis. The first thing I did was, that's dope. Let's do this. Think about this, think about that. And whenever we would have a conversation and some form of doubt or something would come in, I'd be like, listen, you don't have time to be doubting this shit. This is what you said you want to do. It would be a beautiful thing to happen, because there's not that many outlets for vegans in Indianapolis, primarily black vegans, which I'm working to getting back to my veganist point in life. So, that book is very important. So please go out there and get that. Right now, I'm gonna play another song by one of my homeboys that I used to work with. Phenomenal R&B singer. And as an Aquarius, I'm an R&B guy. I think I'm the king of R&B. But I'm gonna play this for you, and I'm gonna come to these questions.
You are now listening to the Jamille Harley Morning Show.
Jamille Harley in the morning. All right, listen, I got to get out of here. I ain't got too much more time. I'm gonna play 2 more songs, but I also want to run these books past you real quick. Dr. Francis Quest Welsing, The ISIS Paper, important book. The Nile Valley Contributions to Civilization, by Anthony T. Browder. Extremely important book. And if you want to learn some real history about American history that you're not taught in school, The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander. 3 important reads. I got more, but, you know, we'll come back at some other time with that. But with no further ado, one more song for one of my homeboys, Josie Wells. Where you at, pimp? We in here, baby. No more losing. Let's get old.
You are now listening to the Jamille Harley Morning Show.
Yeah. All right. I got 3 more books, and then I'm gonna close it out with my new single. But parents, you need this book. You need this book. Everybody needs this book, but parents, you really need this. This book is called The Prescription for Nutritional Healing, a practical A to Z reference to drug-free remedies using vitamins, minerals, herbs, and food supplements by Phyllis A. Bouch and James F. Bouch. Now, one thing that I want y'all to realize that all medication is synthesized versions of herbs. Like their genetic, their DNA structure is based off of herbs and minerals. So don't let nobody tell you that the herbs and minerals don't do the body good, won't heal you, and all that other stuff. This is why you have side effects through medication, is because it's synthesized. The body does not absorb any foreign synthesized objects unless it synthesizes itself. Like minerals are important to the human body because the body will synthesize the minerals and create the natural vitamin, things of that nature. So understand that. This next book, They Came Before Columbus by Ivan Sertima. This book, nothing in this book is taught to you in school for a very specific reason, but empower yourself and read that book. And then the last book I want to tell y'all to read is Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome by Dr. Joyce Degruy. Now, these books that I'm telling you is important so you understand why certain things are happening today. Without a complete understanding of the creation of certain things, either through social engineering or what have you, once you learn the prerequisites of it, then you'll understand why the end result is what it is. Furthermore, and I have a podcast that I'm going to be streaming later tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern with the Naked Proverbs. That's with Tanika and Richard Scott. Live 8 p.m. We're going to go on Facebook, and you can listen to my podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, and on Anchor. So we got that going for you. Now, with no further ado, I want to thank each and everybody that chimed in before work to come and get some of this work. You know what I mean? I'm enjoying these different these outlets that I have. And yes, I mess up some words. Because I'm just talking to y'all like we family. So, with no further ado, I wanted to leave y'all with Mystery Lady. I was supposed to be in Jamaica filming this music video, but thanks to that Rona, I'm in my living room doing the Thug Thizzle. So, signing off. Y'all enjoy the rest of your workday. Meet me back here at 8 p.m. Eastern for a phenomenal podcast. We're going to be talking about marriage, relationships, environments created for children. We're going to be talking about real estate, investment properties, all that stuff. And it's free 99. You ain't got nothing else to do. You ain't got nowhere to be. So come back and holler at y'all. Boy.